Israel launches Operation Gideon's Chariot 2, 60,000 troops deployed in Gaza. Israel has launched a new massive military campaign called Operation Gideon's Chariot 2, deploying 60,000 reserve soldiers to Gaza City. This operation marks a major escalation in the long-running conflict between Israel and Hamas, with the goal of gaining decisive control over the volatile Gaza Strip. Why this operation is happening? According to the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, the campaign has three main goals. 1. Eliminating Hamas's military infrastructure and leadership, which Israel sees as the primary cause of instability in the region. 2. Freeing hostages reportedly held by Hamas fighters since recent cross-border clashes. 3. Establishing complete security dominance over Gaza City to end what Israel calls a persistent threat to national security. Israeli officials say this isn't just another round of strikes. Instead, it's a comprehensive effort to dismantle Hamas's ability to govern and to ensure Israel's long-term security. How Israel is doing it. The deployment of 60,000 reservists is one of the largest mobilizations in recent history. These forces are positioned around Gaza City, with air, ground and naval units working together. Reports suggest that they are using artillery and targeted airstrikes to weaken Hamas defenses before the full-scale ground invasion begins. The IDF claims it's using precision strikes to keep civilian casualties to a minimum, but international observers are skeptical given how densely populated Gaza is. The human cost. While Israel presents the operation as necessary for its security, the humanitarian concerns are already triggering alarm worldwide. Gaza is one of the world's most crowded places, home to over 2 million residents who are already facing severe economic and social hardships. International aid groups are warning that this massive offensive could make the humanitarian crisis even worse, cutting off access to basic necessities like water, food, electricity, and medical care. The United Nations has called for restraint, emphasizing that protecting civilian lives must be the top priority. Human rights organizations fear a sharp increase in displacement and civilian deaths if the fighting escalates, especially in urban areas where Hamas is accused of embedding military operations within civilian infrastructure. What the world is saying, the international community is sharply divided. United States. The Biden administration has reiterated its support for Israel's right to self-defense, but has also urged caution, calling for measured actions that avoid unnecessary civilian harm. European Union. Several EU nations have voiced concern, emphasizing the need for diplomatic solutions while condemning the Hamas attacks that sparked the escalation. Middle Eastern nations, countries like Turkey, Iran and Qatar, have criticized Israel's actions as excessive and demanded an immediate ceasefire. Meanwhile, Egypt and Jordan are quietly pushing for negotiations to prevent the conflict from spreading. United Nations. The UN Security Council has scheduled an emergency meeting to address the crisis and discuss creating humanitarian corridors for trapped civilians. What this means for the region. The timing of Operation Gideon's Chariot 2 is important. Analysts believe Israel wants to assert its military superiority and change the dynamics of the Gaza conflict before international pressure forces a compromise. However, this large-scale mobilization also raises fears that the conflict could spread beyond Gaza, potentially drawing in other militant groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon. This could turn the conflict into a wider Middle Eastern confrontation. What happens next? The success of this operation depends not just on Israel's military strength, but also on its ability to balance its security goals with its humanitarian responsibilities. Even if Hamas's infrastructure is severely damaged, long-term stability in Gaza will require political solutions, international cooperation, and economic rebuilding, not just military force. For now, Gaza's residents are bracing for another period of violence, uncertainty and suffering, while the world watches to see if this campaign brings Israel closer to security or pushes the Middle East deeper into chaos.